Hi, I'm Jeremy Robinson, and this is the 19th hole. Hi, welcome to the 19th hole, brought to you by glal.uk. Delighted today that we've got a couple of the guys from Black Star Golf joining us, and actually joining us from Northern Ireland, from Galgorm Castle, where the DP World Tour is this week. So we got Jamie Rutherford and Max Orrin. Boys, thanks a lot for joining us, and how's Galgorm treating you?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, great track.
Yeah,
we were just saying they made a few changes then. Since when were you last there, Jamie? 2019?
Yeah, I was here in 2019. Yeah, I think we counted up about 14 changes.
Right.
Lots of new tees, some of the holes maybe not too much, a couple new bunkers in around the green. Yeah. But at least probably half the course there's extended tees and like changes in angle. And I think most of us would probably say all the holes are better than they were before.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, some good changes.
Max, you've played before, haven't you?
I think the last time I played the Challenge Tour here was 2018.
Right, yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, they've done a good job with it. They started off as a Europro event, didn't they, originally?
Yeah, It's done a great job. It was kind of a small Challenge Tour event, and then it got into a bigger one, and then obviously, now got a main tour event. So yeah, it's really good.
And then with COVID, they obviously had the Irish Open as well, which is like feather in the cap. Whether it's a good enough course quite to have the Irish Open at the moment, I don't know. But anyway, they did a good job with it by stepping in and hosting it.
Yeah, I think it gets a lot of fans as well. It always gets a lot of people watching. It's got a good kind of setup. It's got a great village. And yeah, it's got every good hotel. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Gary Henry, who I know runs it there, runs the golf side of it anyway, does a great job. So it should be a good week. The weather was good today.
Very good. Yeah, really good. It was 20, 24, 25, not much wind.
Right.
Looks similar for the rest of the week.
Yeah, I think it could get a bit baked. Get baked out there.
Yeah, well, they don't have any fairway. They don't have any irrigation there, do they? Because they never struggle with rain. They just struggle with getting rid of the stuff usually.
Yeah, I've only ever played it soft. It's normally really soft.
Yeah. So anyway, so thanks a lot for joining us, and it's good that you're on. It's great to be playing a DP World Tour event. So firstly, Jamie, good opening win for the first day of the season, mate.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I was at the game on Saturday. Week off, which was nicely timed. I don't know. We'll get
how did they play, mate?
Tottenham Chelsea on Sunday, so it's
Southampton were good though, weren't they?
Southampton weren't that good. No.
So you got high hopes, mate. Things are looking good down at the Spurs, are they?
I think so. Yeah, I think we're going to have a good year. I just want us to win something. Obviously, that's the big sticking point. Yeah. So we've got to get a trophy, but I think Conte, he's the man to do it.
Yeah, I'm not saying fingers crossed for you, but there you go. So you might
hopefully not. Yeah,
I thought you might. I thought you might agree with that one as well. So
yeah.
Anyway, so thanks for joining us. The last 18 months, Jamie, they've been great. You've been playing some great golf. Obviously, won the Europro Order of Merit last year, winning the Tour Champs at Slaley Hall, and outside of that, having a very consistent season. And this year, you've carried it on, had three top 8 finishes on the Challenge Tour. Played well at Slaley in the Asian Tour event, and obviously recently, whether it's the highlight of the season so far, but it's a big highlight when you look back, playing 4 rounds at the 150th Open Championship. So the whole thing, the game's been for 18 months, been pretty good, really.
Yeah, I can't complain. With obviously, I feel like I had maybe a couple years after obviously getting a main tour card, and then a couple years of things not going as well as I wanted, and a few struggles. But I think potentially even COVID year maybe came at a decent time for me to just knuckle down on like my own game and trying to improve on the areas that I needed to. And yeah, the last 18 months, 2 years of things have gone well, and obviously my golf's in good shape. So I just need to keep doing the things that I have been doing really, and hopefully keep getting the good results. Keep pushing forward.
So, I mean, obviously, as you rightly say, you had your card a few years ago, and then COVID's come along, and that's been an interruption to all you guys with no tour school, etc. But can you clearly your game has moved on. Can you kind of pinpoint anything, new coach or new practice regime, or something must have happened to have taken your game to another level, really?
Yeah, I started working with a different coach. That would have been, it'd be it must have been the end of 2019. I think it'll be about 3 years now. So just before that time, really, yeah, I started working with Ben Story, a guy who I knew pretty well from Woburn and playing a decent amount of golf with him. And he's made a big difference really in my game, and just becoming more consistent, knowing my like tendencies with my swing and where my bad shots come from, and then being able to just sort of keep things simple and keep on top of that whilst I'm actually playing. I feel like before I would like go up and down quite quickly. You know, I'd be playing good and then things would drop off and I didn't really know how to fix it. And then it's hard to have a consistent game over when you're trying to play 20, 25 tournaments. It's hard to keep on top of that. Whereas now I feel like I've got quite a simple structure in what I'm trying to do. I don't try and overcomplicate it, but I know where my bad shots come from. And I feel like if I'm having maybe a couple of rounds where it's not going, I can get on top of it much quicker and therefore be more consistent and shoot better scores because of that.
I mean, surely that's got to be the key for both you guys, or all guys playing professional golf. But the more you kind of learn where your bad shots come from, especially right on the course, you know, I'm not saying it's a quick fix, but you've got to know what you're doing roughly if you're going to start hitting it left or right, haven't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's been the big key for me, really. I feel like I've gotten much more consistent in that area, knowing my shot shape becoming more consistent, and then therefore knowing really I can always go back to that quite quickly, knowing that what's my sort of base around that is, keeping it quite simple, and then not deviating too much from that when I'm playing week to week to week, because obviously that's the difficult part when you're going, you know, different places and you don't have much time. We're playing a lot of tournaments in a short space of time. So yeah, I think that's definitely helped me. And obviously that's the like path I'm going to try and continue to go down, really keeping everything nice and simple. I'm not trying to make any drastic changes when I do work with my coach. It's just small steps, trying to consistently just get a little tiny bit better in each area.
So Max, moving on to firstly about Chelsea. What's your opinion on Chelsea this year then? Because we do on the 19th Hole podcast, I must add, we have a guy who does a bit of tipping for our football, and he did pick all three on Sunday. He got 3 out of 6 on Saturday and 3 out of 3 on Sunday, so he did pretty good.
Impressive.
He got both the Chelsea and Spurs wins, and he actually got the Brentford-Leicester draw correct.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. And Brighton to beat United as well.
He got Brighton to beat United. Yes, he did that. So, anyway, what's your view on Chelsea?
I think we signed a couple of good players, but I think we create a lot, but we don't score enough. I think we defend quite well, but we're not putting away chances. So there's, you know, especially in the Premier League, if you're 0-0, 1-0 against any side, the last 5-10 minutes is going to be nervy and you're going to concede sometimes. So I think we need to be a bit more clinical, and maybe, you know, I mean, last year we got to 2 finals, so I think anything's possible if we sign, you know, a good goal scorer. But yeah, there's a big one on Sunday that we need to take care of first.
What time's kickoff on Sunday?
4:30, yeah, it's a big one.
So if you boys win the last group, you're just about to finish then.
Yeah, Spurs fans are one of the worst. Spurs and Arsenal fans, you don't hear the end of it if they win a game. Like, they're just so ungracious and in victory, aren't they?
I'm not.
Yeah,
small minority.
And they come out the woodwork. So hopefully we can fend them off.
Yeah. So anyway, just moving on to golf, which is probably the main topic of conversation. But so obviously, Max, you're a double winner on the Challenge Tour and a former Walker Cup player in 2013. That was at the National Golf Club with Nigel Edwards, was it, as captain?
It was, yeah.
And they had a good team. Justin Thomas was playing.
Yeah, Justin Thomas. There was a few: Patrick Rogers, Max Homer. I think pretty much most of them got to sort of Corn Ferry PGA level. But there was one that stayed amateur, I think. But yeah, they were a good team. I played against Max Homer and Justin Thomas in the singles.
Oh wow, yeah.
Didn't do great in that. I got a bit bashed up by both of them too. But yeah, obviously great experience. Like 2 weeks in America, played some great courses, went to some good sports events, and it was really good experience.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a great experience. When you hang the boots up in years to come, you'll look back at it and it would have been a great thing to have done, really.
Yeah, massive. It was a different, like obviously I played amateur events where there was crowds, but it was a different kind of feel. Obviously, you're in America, everyone, or most of the fans are American, they're sort of rooting against you. And I remember the first hole was like a drivable par four with like a long tee box, and it was like lined all the way down. And I'd not played in anything like that. And it was one of those. It was like just pull the driver, everyone stand back, and no, it was good. It was obviously a taste of what the next step would be like. And yeah, I definitely enjoyed the experience.
Yeah. So the last couple of years with COVID and everything, and not kind of having schedules and everything, have been difficult. But things are now getting back to normal a bit, and you're showing a lot of signs of coming back. I mean, I first remember watching you play. In fact, I don't know whether you remember it, but you beat Ben in something like the quarter final of the English Amateur at Rutherford. I can't remember whether you went on to win it. Yeah, you did. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I lost to Callum Shinkwin in the semis.
Right. It was like last 32 or last 16.
Yeah, he made a two at the last. Yeah, he hit driver. It was one of those days. It was, especially with Callum the way he is. He was like one straight drive, two or three, like anywhere. Yeah. So I was thinking, there's a good possibility
he could hit a car.
He could be gone.
Yeah.
And he hit this rocket onto the green and made two and beat me down. I think he beat Matt Fitzpatrick in the final, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah, that's when I first saw you playing, and I thought to myself, then you look like you got a chance of doing well. So let's say the last couple of years haven't been the greatest, but you're starting to show a bit of form now. So you feel as though things are coming back in the right direction?
Yeah, I would say so. I think the way I would describe it is I lost a lot of confidence in my swing and my game. I can't really pinpoint where and how, if that makes sense. But there were certain tough tee shots that I would get over, and I just didn't feel like I could hit the shot when it wasn't going very well. But now I kind of reached out to an ex-tour pro, a guy called Peter Mitchell, who's been a really, really good, more of a friend than anything. He's helped me a lot, and I've just kind of found that confidence back a little bit. And the more times I've played and the more rounds I've had, the more it's kind of got better and better. It's still a bit inconsistent at the minute, good rounds, bad rounds, but there's definitely a lot of promise in the game at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Pete. Pete was a good player. He won on the tour and everything, and he used to. I remember he used to know what he was talking about. So you're in good hands, in my opinion. There, he's a good guy as well.
He's a
different character.
He's special, yeah. He's got a way with words, I would say.
Yeah, he's a bit different. I wouldn't.
The first time I met him, and he was doing something on like a whiteboard, and he was talking through things, and he was asking me questions to get what my thought process was about different things, like how I saw a shot or how I saw whatever. And he just slaughtered me afterwards. He was just like, what are you doing? Like, you're making it so much harder than it is. Like, it's such a simple game, and you're overcomplicating it to the point that you're just frying yourself. And he makes me laugh so much.
I think it's spot on, though. I mean, I noticed, Jamie, Ben's a big guy, a big man with the TrackMan and everything, but he doesn't seem to, when watching him helping you out at the Open, he doesn't seem to overcomplicate things. Because I see some people just generally when they're coaching, and some of the younger coaches, which Ben is, obviously Pete's not a younger guy, he's kind of my age, but they feel they have to say more than they really have to. I mean, as you rightly say, Max, at the end of the day, Pete's right. Golf is it's like all sports. It's quite a simple game. You try and get the ball in the hole as quickly as possible. It's not an easy game, don't get me wrong, but I do think that some people do, especially with all the TrackMan and all the technology available these days. It's very easy to overcomplicate things to the young players.
Yeah, like obviously it's a massive advantage from however many years ago when they didn't have it available to use it for the right things. But I think sometimes you can get away from what's important, and that's having the ability to hit a shot as opposed to just looking at a number and trying to go from a number or a number's perspective. Obviously, some people have different views, but I'm quite a field-based player. Jamie's quite a field-based player, and we want to see a shot and feel a golf shot more than we want to say, well, that was spinning at this, that was doing that, that was doing that. So that's, and if you've got coaches that can help you in that way and, you know, improve you as well as making it simple, that's obviousyou really important.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time as well, it's a great tool for coaches as well. I think sometimes it's, you know, even like your example there, even with Ben, my coach with me at the Open, you know, I didn't even look at it at any point. Like I never looked at any, I didn't even have an iPad in front of me. He would hold it. We used it really more for performance-based stuff there. We were just trying to get a feel for how far the ball's going in the winds, crosswinds, trying to get a feel for when I was maybe knocking down a shot, or just so, right, okay, that's a 150 shot, and using it more to then just test my skills. He would call out a number and I was just trying to execute, and then I had no knowledge of how high or how much spin or anything. He'd just tell me how far out or how much I missed the number by. And really more as a, you know, we went through some numbers that I might have on the golf course. We went through some wedge numbers that popped up in the practice rounds when I had, you know, similar numbers into maybe 3 or 4 of the holes. And we just used it like that. And I think that's a lot of the time the best way you can use it as a player as well, because, you know, I'm trying to go out there the next day or 2 days later and shoot the best score I possibly can. I'm not trying to produce the best TrackMan numbers, or, you know, you're trying to get a golf score, you're trying to get the ball round, and you're trying to have a good week on the course. So I think you know, it's very easy to get bogged down in technical stuff and swing work and all the rest of that stuff, when really that's not necessarily going to help you perform the best in the, you know, the next 3 days or 4 days, or, you know, straight away afterwards.
It was interesting. We had on one of the previous podcasts, we had Carl Morris and Gary Nicol on. Gary's big into TrackMan, and he's a master TrackMan or whatever it is. But he's very knowledgeable in it, and he's been to Denmark and he's done loads of research with them. And I thought he put it really well. He said that some people use TrackMan and it's like driving a car. If you haven't passed a driving test, you shouldn't be allowed on the road on your own. And if you don't understand TrackMan properly, you shouldn't really be coaching people by using TrackMan and saying, this is what you should be doing, this is what you should be doing. Because as Gary said, they're actually sometimes coaching these people the wrong way. And if they're young people, 15, 16, they're getting the wrong messages.
Yeah. I mean, you could be teaching someone who would be swinging it poorly but having a great number. And then, you know, you go in and saying, well, that was perfect, but it might not be repeatable. It might not be the right way for that person to go. There's obviously so many benefits to it if you use it the right way, like you say. But yeah, you have to use it the right way for sure.
Yeah, I mean, again, Gareth Lordy caddies for Stenson now. He was saying in a previous podcast, he was mentioning about it, how Stenson uses it. So it's interesting, all the technology in that. So just mentioning Lordy and Stenson, Jamie, it was obviously a good experience for you to play with 2 former major winners and a former Ryder Cup player. Former Ryder Cup captain, beg your pardon. He's the only Ryder Cup captain who's been the Ryder Cup captain, but never been the Ryder Cup captain, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, that was it. Yeah, it was obviously just before all that came out. I didn't mention anything to him about the possible rumours, but yeah, no, it was a great experience to get to play 9 holes with Henrik and then Louis Oosthuizen as well, and just get to watch how they, you know, firstly just how they were hitting the ball, and it was a pretty windy day as well that would have been the Tuesday.
Tuesday it was,
yeah, and it was windy and it was quite challenging. So just getting to see sort of, you know, how they went about it. I mean, Louis was really relaxed, really not necessarily the most intense, you know, practice round and that you would ever see, but just super relaxed and just going about his business and hitting shots. Both games looked in pretty good shape.
Well, maybe they should have been watching what you were doing. Because of the 4 of you playing, I can't remember the young amateur, the one who created a bit of speed when he was hitting it. Of the 4 of you, you finished. You did the best one, so maybe they should have been looking at you, mate.
Maybe, yeah.
So,
Snuck a couple out there.
Yeah.
Not past the amateur.
Who was the am?
He won the
British Am.
he won the Brit.
Oh, he's young, isn't he?
Yeah.
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 He was prominent.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, he
He
did.
was sending it.
Was he?
I won't get near him.
Yeah, so moving on then. So that's kind of how the games are shaping up, and you're both obviously looking for a strong end to the season. About 10 events left, but this week's a nice week playing on the DP World Tour at Galgorm, as we rightly mentioned. It's a dual badge event with the Challenge Tour, so the points count on both. But it's obviously nice to be playing on the DP World Tour event.
Lovely, yeah. Obviously, been a few years since I played one. I think having played the course, although there's changes a few times, it doesn't feel too new. You know, it feels like you're kind of coming back to somewhere you know. And obviously, yeah, it's going to be great environment. Great to have some fans and a proper golf event like how I felt a few years ago. So yeah, it'd be good.
Yeah, same feelings. Yeah, obviously, you know, apart from, you know, me playing the Open this year, it's the same thing. I haven't played a DP World event for 4 or 5 years. So yeah, to get out and even, yeah, like Max touched on there, the fact that we've both been here before as well. I think I've been a couple of times, played the course a decent amount, and played some relatively, you know, made the cut and played some decent rounds a few years back. So you've got a decent feeling on the course. I feel like it's a course that sets up well for me. So yeah, and it's great as well. Yeah, and lots of people. Hopefully some good spectating as well. There'll be some people out there watching, which obviously that's what we want to be doing. That's where we want to be with our games. That's what we want to be playing. We want to be playing in bigger tournaments, and yeah, so it's great to get out there.
I mean, I haven't been there for a couple of years, but I did go for a few years, and obviously the changes you were saying, but it's it always came across to me, as you say, Max, it's probably a bit softer now, firmer now than it was before, but it always came across as a very fair course. If you played well, you got rewarded around there.
Yeah, you always got a good winner. You know, you had to play well. You had to hit it well off the tee. There's trouble. I mean, it's wide in parts, but there is trouble, and you can set yourself up for a good amount of opportunities if you drive it well. So I feel like it's a good test. There's rough in parts that are, you know, quite thick. So you can't really get away with winging it like you do on some courses. Yeah. But yeah, I think it plays probably better being a bit firmer. I think when it's soft, it can be a bit of a slog, but I think it does play really well. I think it's in a really good nick.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I think it's playing really good. I think, like, even the good thing about it, even down most holes, you know, any bad shot really is going to get punished. It's not, you've not got space on one side that you can maybe know that you can maybe get onto another hole, or you've got a lot of room. All the holes are, you know, some of them are, you know, giving you a good target area, but they're lined with trees or some long grass where, you know, punishing or hazards. So, you know, you can't really get away with a bad shot at any point in the round. A really wide shot, you've got to control your ball, and then the rough's juicy enough that if you hit it, you know, even if you're just missing the fairway by a little bit, it's going to be hard to score. So I think it's going to be a premium on drive, especially around Galgorm. We obviously haven't played the other course yet, but there's definitely a premium on driving the ball well. If you can hit a lot of fairways, and with it being firm, you're going to get it a decent distance out there. If you're just hitting it straight, the ball's running. So I think players that do well this week are certainly going to drive the ball well.
It's got a proper finish to it as well. Like the whole of the back nine you have to do well, but when you come in from 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, you can't shy away from any shot. You have to hit a good shot all of those holes. So it's a proper, you know, the winner who comes down on Sunday will have earned the win for sure.
Yeah. So both you guys have played the course before. I mean, when I used to play on the tour and that, and if I used to go back to a course where I'd played it before, I always used to kind of, even if I hadn't played that any good at the course before, when you step up on the first tee and that, just for practice rounds, it definitely, to me, it was an advantage if you'd been there and played the course before. Do you find that, or when you go, not necessarily this course, but going back to any kind of course, do you find it, you know, kind of helps when you get there or not?
I think sometimes it can hinder a bit. For example, say I know there's golf courses I've been to and I've never really done that well at. So when I go there, obviously you're not thinking that way, but you sort of know what you've done there.
Yeah.
As opposed to obviously somewhere you go where you've done really well all the time, there's really good feelings. So I think obviously, you know, a lot of the tee shots, you know where the line is, you know where to hit it, you know where there's a bit more room than maybe in a yardage book it just looks like. And obviously, like personally around here, I've done quite well. So there's holes that I remember shots I've hit, or you know, there's certain things that just come back to you, and it gives you good feelings about a tournament week for sure. Yeah,
I think it definitely helps from a preparation standpoint. Like even today, we played with a lad that hadn't played on the course before, and just he's probably even just like energy wise and concentration wise. We get on most tees, you sort of all right, it's firm, but you pretty much know, right, this hole's a driver, this hole's got a big dog leg, and he's walking on the tee, and even a couple of the holes that maybe do dog leg blindly, he's like, what's the line? Whereas we know, you instantly know the line, and therefore you sort of, from that point of view, you can maybe get a little bit more done in terms of like seeing around the greens or seeing the firmness or shots you might have to hit, because you don't have to have that extra concentration and real, like, you know, getting on a tee and really deciding, right, what club is it I need to hit here, or what. We've probably got a clear idea on every tee shot.
Yeah.
Because you've been there, because you've played it, you know, all right, maybe it's this hole's playing a bit firmer, so we might have to club down, but you still know where you want to hit it.
Yeah.
I think that helps from that standpoint. I think even like we said today, playing with someone that maybe hadn't played there, that can just maybe give you a little bit of a help in terms of just purely how you go about the practice round.
And this, as you rightly said, so it's 2 courses this week. So just give us a quick insight onto different preparations for the week. I mean, obviously 2 courses is unusual for you guys. It's usually 1 week. Say you played Galgorm today, you're going to go and play 18 holes on the other course tomorrow?
Yeah, we're playing 18 tomorrow morning. I think if I'd have played this tournament, say 3 years in a row, and I'd played that course many times, I would probably play 9, walk 9, just to save a little bit on the legs.
Yeah.
But obviously, I want to see how it's playing and want to see the course. So play 18 tomorrow. Probably won't do too much practice, depending on how obviously things go. But yeah, just make sure everything's tidy, really. And so when you get there on Thursday morning, you feel like you're just ready to go and play. You don't have to think about anything. You just go play and shoot the best score you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think obviously there's going to be you've got to really work out whether, you know, how different the 2 courses might be playing in terms of firmness and, you know, how receptive the greens might be, how much run you might be getting on the fairways, green speed, just little things like that where you just need to, you know, you don't want to you don't want to maybe spend all of your preparation at Galgorm on certain greens doing all your putting practice there, and then all of a sudden you go to the other course in a tournament day and they're, you know, two feet on the stimp different. That's going to become quite difficult to adjust. So you just need to maybe be aware of that tomorrow, use that a little bit on the course to figure out. And obviously we've only got 1 round of the week round there, but, you know, first 2 days you need to make sure it gets the same sort of attention as Galgorm, because if you have a bad round, it doesn't matter which course, you know, you got to make sure you put yourself in good position either course.
So just moving on to the kind of challenge tour, which you guys are playing on this year, and there's quite a few guys obviously playing this week on the challenge tour members. So as we rightly said, it's a dual ranking event. So the points where you finish, correct me if I'm right, or if I'm wrong, sorry. So if you finish 20th this week at Galgorm, you get the equivalent points to 20th of someone playing in Sweden.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that seems a pretty fair way of doing it, really, and it gives people a chance to play on the DP World Tour instead of having short fields, as we've discussed before, Jamie, which is a shame when as they did at Hillside, they teed it up with about 10 or 12 players short.
Yeah.
So it's a good way of doing it, I think, and having these dual badge tournaments. So, but as I say, the standard on the Challenge Tour, is obviously now is getting high. It seems to get higher each year, but it's good they've got 20 cards available now, and it's nice to see an increase in the prize money this year at last. Whether that's anything to do with this famous strategic alliance with the PGA Tour, but the money's come from somewhere, which is great, and especially with the cost of traveling and the trouble of traveling these days. It's a nice benefit, well, not benefit, but a nice benefit to have a bit more prize money.
Yeah, for sure. And like you touched on there, obviously, I haven't been out traveling, really now since 2018. I was back playing a little bit of Europe. I didn't play many Challenge Tour events in 2019, maybe like 4 or 5, and then obviously Euro Pro, and then had COVID year, so I haven't been back out, flying and hiring cars and hotel and Airbnbs and all that side of stuff. But since COVID, well, I think we can all see that there's a bit of a, everything's been more expensive than usual. Say the travel's obviously been quite difficult, hiring cars and all that side of it. So yeah, it's definitely nice that we've had a little bit of a boost in some of the prize money that we can play for, because I think we all need it.
Yeah, it's like a lot of the people who are the public who are golf fans. All they read about at the moment is 20 million to sign and 4 million to play and another 4 million there and 4 million there. But obviously on the Challenge Tour, just some good prize money if you can win the tournaments, and but obviously it helps with the boost in the prize funds. It's not all 4 million here and 4 million there. That is for sure.
No, and I don't think general people don't quite understand how the money doesn't go very deep, if that makes sense. So outside of top 5-10 spots, it really doesn't go very deep at all. So you can have a really good week and still not really break much more than even on Challenge Tour. Obviously main tour, you have a solid finish and you pick up a bit of money, so it's quite good. But I think it would be great if there was a bit more depth, but obviously you can't complain at having bigger prize funds. It's obviously really good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's the kind of point I was making. The standard of the Challenge Tour, the standard in relation to the prize fund, is probably a bit lopsided at the moment in the wrong way. The standard is certainly better than the prize funds, and it shows when the guys who finished top 20 on the Challenge Tour, they're doing well on the main tour now. Yeah,
definitely. I remember when I first turned pro, there was always like a thing of people that went up and then came back down, and gradually through the years, more and more of them have stayed up. And there's been examples of players that have nearly won pretty soon after going up. So I think the level's definitely improving.
Yeah, I mean, so hopefully, so with whatever the way, we'll get onto it in a minute, but whatever the way golf is going, LIV or strategic alliance, I mean, I feel that the more investment into the Challenge Tour for guys like yourselves, the better it's got to be, because the standard of golf these days is very, very high, and the strength and depth just gets deeper and deeper all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
You look at that guy who won on the PGA Tour. There's so many Asian Tour players now coming through who are great golfers, young guys, and so it's the prize money, in my opinion, has got to go up a little bit at the moment.
Definitely, yeah. I think it's, and obviously this is the level below the tour, and this is kind of the stepping stone. So obviously it would be great for players that are jumping up to have kind of a boost financially before then obviously going to the next level.
Yeah. So when you guys are out on the road and you go and play 3 or 4 weeks in a row, or 5 or 6 or 7, I mean, there's obviously about 10 events coming up. You guys are going to play most of them and try and get to Mallorca, to the grand final. Do you have any kind of, going back really to the preparation event, just for people who are listening, do you have any kind of set practice routines when you go? I mean, or is it kind of just see where you're going, how difficult a place it is to get to, whether there's a pro-am or...
I'm very much more of a player than a practicer. When I go to a tournament, unless something's really needs working on, I like to get out on the course, see the course, kind of play more than anything else, because that's obviously what I'm there to do. I'm going to be playing the golf course, so I prefer to play, and just get involved with the golf course, really. I've always kind of been that way, and yeah, I don't know about Jamie, but that's what I enjoy more, being, playing, hitting golf shots, and actually getting a feel for the actual golf course.
Yeah, I definitely would be in the same mold as well as Max there. Yeah, I mean, I think obviously when you do week after week, you might be, 4 weeks in a row, but even great, 7, 8 weeks out of 9, something like that, where you're, a lot of the time going maybe straight onto a venue, or just maybe getting home and you're at home for 12 hours and then you're back off. So you definitely need to, and like you touched on, there's pro-ams, and then there's maybe certain things like that you have to work around. You might not be able to get on the course on a Wednesday. So, I certainly like to play all 18 holes of a golf course in my build up. So I have to work my schedule around that to make sure I'm there in enough time. Ideally, I wouldn't particularly like to travel and play on the same day either. So most of the time I try and get there on a Monday evening, so that I've got a Tuesday where I can play 18 holes. But if it works with a pro-am that I can maybe do 9 on a Tuesday, 9 on a Wednesday, that works quite well for me, I find. But yeah, there's a lot of things that we have to work around. If you're not in a category that gets you into pro-ams, that Wednesday is a lot of the time a day where you're not going to be able to get on the golf course, or you're certainly maybe only going to be able to play 9 early or late. So there's a few more stuff that you have to work around. It's not always as easy as doing exactly what you want. And, and even for us, when we get to, obviously a week like this, we've got pretty good facilities. We've got a real nice big putting green, got a lovely range, and it's all really accessible. Some of the tournaments we go to maybe don't quite have as good a driving ranges, or don't have a great chipping area and small putting greens. So you obviously have to be adaptable to work around that. And maybe those weeks even more so, maybe try and play a few more holes, because, there's no point in standing on a range where the grass is very long, or there's a big slope, or little things like that maybe come into play into how you go about it. So I think it's important to obviously be able to adjust as you're going through. But yeah, there's nothing I do like every single week.
I would say, in terms of travel wise, I've always liked coming home on a Sunday, having a Monday at home, and then maybe traveling a Monday night or a Tuesday morning back out, just to kind of, like, if it's a long run of events, kind of separating. Although you're doing more travel, you're probably sleeping less. Just that one night at home, see family, see friends, but whatever it may be, that always helped me just kind of differentiate the weeks. And I've always felt I could play more weeks in a row by having just a day at home in between, as opposed to traveling to a tournament and keep going week to week and being, away from home. I don't really know why.
Yeah.
That's the way I've always kind of felt better doing that.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I mean, when I used to do the same, try and come home. So I always used to think that the Southern Hemisphere players, or the Aussies, or the South Africans, if they didn't have a house in the UK or weren't renting a house, it was not easy to just keep going from one tournament to another. And you're traveling on a Sunday and getting there on a Monday, and it just seems like golf is, I know it's your life, but it just seems like golf is just, that's all there was.
Yeah, if you get there on a Monday as well, like, it's a long time before holiday to be there. Obviously, you can't. If I was traveling week to week, I try and have like a Monday to do nothing, or to, maybe go see something if I'm in a nice city or a country. But to me, even that doesn't just feel quite as good as just being at home for a day and having those home comforts.
Yeah, I know. I would agree with that. So the final kind of thing on golf, and we've asked everybody this so far, and obviously it's the massive topic of conversation, and it's just, it just seems crazy at the moment what's going on. But I'd just be interested, and if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to, but I'd just be interested. Obviously the FedEx playoffs is coming up now, and they still don't even know the field. 3 of them are trying to get in the field still, and we're talking about LIV Golf and LIV players and that. And the first one was just down the road from you, Jamie, at Centurion Club. And start with you, Max. What's your view on what's happened so far, and what's your view on? I said to some guys before, where do you see golf in a year's time? That's the key question, really. You can say, oh, I think this, I think that, but where would you see golf in a year's time?
I would say because it doesn't massively affect me, I don't really know how I feel about it. Like I can't say I'm not a PGA Tour player that's going to be affected by someone from LIV coming back to play a FedEx. So in that respect, I don't really know. But in terms of myself, I would say it probably creates more opportunities for me because players from, say, European Tour will go in there. That's opening spots to go down the list. So then Challenge Tour players are getting into European events. I'm getting into more challenge events. So it's kind of helped me in that respect. In a year's time, I think it's all dependent on whether the tours start to work together or not, really. I think if they don't start to come together, it's just going to be constant battles, legal battles, a lot of unhappiness between players, between, you know, people that are affected by it. I think I hope there's, I don't really know if there is, but I hope there's some sort of solution so that we can just stop talking about it and get on with just being golfers and enjoying ourselves, really.
Yeah. What do you think, Jamie?
Yeah, I mean, I think similar. Obviously, like Max mentioned, the sort of trickle down effect for golfers at our level is, you know, bigger prize funds across world golf is only really going to be a good thing for players that are trying to get onto different tours and maybe open up more avenues into playing for bigger prize funds for us and having an opportunity to earn more money and like help our careers. So from that perspective, you know, the more tournaments that pop up with huge prize funds, even though it's not directly affected us in terms of we're playing them, I think in the great scheme of things, you know, now you've got these Asian Tour International Series that are popping up, and there's probably going to be more of them next year that are playing for good money. And whether that means European Tour players playing those, and we have maybe more opportunity of playing DP World, sorry, not European, but yeah, getting into that sort of side of it. But I mean, I think a lot rests on whether the LIV Tour gets granted world ranking points. I think if that happens, obviously, you know, there's a clear path for them to be eligible to play major championships for however long they want. And I think that would lead to probably a clear split in world golf. You'd have guys, you'd only maybe have 4 tournaments that everyone would play in. I think if that doesn't happen, I think I would be hoping that maybe there's some compromise where they're able to work a schedule where guys can ultimately play both, but maybe try and line up some of the LIV series events with weaker scheduled fields on the PGA Tour and DP Tour to where you're not necessarily losing players directly. But I don't know. That's obviously a long way away because, you know, they've already scheduled that there's going to be 14 events next year. So instantly you have to play, I think it's 15 events on the PGA Tour to keep your rights. So, you know, players aren't going to play 29 tournaments. It's just not going to happen. So something's got to give. And I don't really, I would be very surprised if in a year's time we have a compromise because I can't see it happening anytime soon. I think it's going to be a lot of legal fighting, and especially when it comes out. I mean, I think if they're granted world ranking points, I think that'll be quite a definitive point where clearly you'll just have 2 separate tours.
Yeah.
And whether, you know, the rest of the players maybe end up going and playing for the bigger prize ones, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that if that does happen, there's 2 different tours. Like in tennis, the 4 biggest tennis tournaments by miles are the majors. So in golf, the majors could elevate to a different level because that would be the only tournaments where all the best players in the world are going to play, even if they do have world ranking points on the LIV Tour.
Yeah, well, no, I think you're right. I think it really would do that, and you know, obviously, I think that takes away maybe some of the. I mean, you know, even I'm not a massive tennis fan, but I couldn't tell you a winner of any tennis tournament other than a Grand Slam where I pay attention during that. Now that obviously is probably good for those individual tournaments and those individual Grand Slams. I don't know whether that's good for the tennis tour as a whole. I'm not, you know, I don't pay him any attention. I don't know whether the players think that's good or not. But obviously those, like you said, I mean, you know, if Rory McIlroy and Dustin Johnson don't ever play a tournament against each other, and then every major they do, there would obviously be, it would elevate those tournaments into even better place, but maybe at the detriment to all the other tournaments and the rest of the year. And obviously, that's only 4 tournaments, and you've still got a 45 tournament schedule, however many tournaments there are now. That maybe be affected by that.
I think you've summed it up quite well, really. I'll just finish on that one, because I think the big thing with golf, it's got to be careful that golf's had a pretty good image in the last few years, and I think they've got to be careful at the moment. All these people who have seemed to be a lot of ego clashes. The name of golf itself, of professional golf, is verging on getting a bit of a bad name and tarnishing itself, really. I think that's a big thing they've got to be aware of. They've got to try and sit down and professional golf's going to change. There's no doubt about it. There's no question now it's going to change, but they've got to find some kind of solution that doesn't ruin golf, really, and turn off the fans who watch it.
There's people I've spoken to that know nothing about golf, but they know something about this league that is happening. And it's all that they're seeing is negative. So for people that don't really know much about golf, don't know much about it, their perception of golf at the minute is all very, very negative. So there is obviously a need for this to get sorted. And
that's exactly what I'm saying, Max. They've got to be careful, these people who are trying to, the egos that are going about. They've got to be careful they don't ruin the name of golf and turn people who are kind of TV watchers of golf, turn them onto other sports.
Yeah, definitely.
Otherwise it'll be bad for the game and it won't be good for the game. So, but anyway, there we go. It's interesting. Nobody really knows which way it's going. So thanks a lot for coming on, boys. And obviously, from Black Star's point of view, from my point of view, I wish you the best of luck this week and for the rest of the season. And I booked my ticket to Mallorca today, so hopefully see you both there. But I can't obviously leave it now without having a prediction of the score. So I'll start. Where is it? Is it at Stamford Bridge?
Stamford Bridge, yeah.
It's at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll start with the prediction. So I'll go, you're not going to like this, Max, but I'll go 1-2. I think you're going to lose 2-1. I think Spurs are going to do
1-2. I'll say, I can't see it scoring 2. 1-0 or 1-0. I'll go 1-0.
You can't sit on the fence.
I'll go 1-0. 1-0 Chelsea.
Okay.
I mean, historically, we have got an awful record at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
But I think we will win. I think everything's going well. I think it'll be a tight game, obviously. I think we will win. I think it'll also be 1-2. Kane double.
We'll see, won't we? We'll have to see.
I will have to see. Well, hopefully...
I can't see a score.
Jorginho, Kane double.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be quite an exciting game.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you boys we're just about finishing by kickoff on Sunday afternoon. So
yeah,
we'll watch it with a trophy.
Pint of Guinness.
Sounds lovely. Yeah.
There you go. That's the way. All right, boys. It's been brilliant. Thanks a lot for coming on, and all the best this week and for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers.